Quick intro, I'm Ben Carr. I'm currently working as a digital product owner at Vodafone UK. Previously worked as an e-commerce manager owning the acquisition portfolio for Vodafone UK for mobile, but currently working on a replatforming program. I'm going to talk to you about how we're using big data to drive our content strategy. So I imagine most of you in the room have heard of Vodafone, but I'll give you a quick intro anyway for those that haven't. So Vodafone formed in 1981 above a curry house in Newbury in West Berkshire. In 1985, the comedian Ernie Wise made the first mobile phone call using the Vodafone network. And today, slightly scary when you think of the kind of progress we've made, with 17.9 million customers across the globe, 13,000 UK employees, 459 stores, and we get anywhere between 8 and 12 million visitors to our Vodafone.co.uk website every month. So we're a pretty big beast, and we're pretty traditional as well. So that size and that scale that we just talked about presents us with quite a few problems. We're great at, and I think Jamie and the other guys have already mentioned this, we're great at creating content for our purposes. We're not great at creating content for other people's. So what we're really good at is building a huge website with loads of pages, loads of content related to propositions or devices or things that we've launched recently that we then forget about and we leave and we let them fester. We're also, as I've already mentioned, trying to do a big redesign and replatforming exercise at the minute. And that means that our site's been a little bit unloved for the last 6 months or so. On top of that, and again, I've already talked about 13,000 UK employees, 3,000 of those are in our HQ. We've got a vast array of KPIs and strategies that different people in the organisation are trying to deliver. Everyone's pulling in slightly different directions, and that's meant that the site is a little bit hodgepodge at the minute. And one of the key things that this replatforming is trying to address is our over-reliance on paid search. So we've got a huge volume of paid search that we're driving into the site at the minute for service and support queries. That's obviously not where we want to be putting our money. And finally, organic search. So I'm sure a lot of you have had the same thing here, but organic search is working really well for us. Problem is, when something's free and it works well, the big wigs tend to want more of it. And it's not always that easy. And likewise, when we're looking at a major replatforming, it makes it that little bit more difficult. So why is content really important for Vodafone? The market is constantly changing. It might feel like it's phones and SIM cards, but there's new handsets, iPhone, Samsung. There's a huge number of manufacturers all delivering brand new devices every month. There's new offers in the market. So Vodafone have recently, probably actually in the last year or so, launched a new SIM proposition. So you buy 20 gig of data, you get £20, and we were the first people in the market to do it. But ever since, a promotion like that hasn't been out in the market, so it's vital to get to that sort of offer first. And product expansion. So we launched Vodafone, traditionally a telco. We launched home broadband and fixed line in 2015. So that's opened up a wealth of new opportunities for us. We've also got huge levels of competition, so not just the O2s and the EEs. We're also competing with big high street retailers like John Lewis and Argos, and even pure play, people like Mobile Phones Direct. If people haven't heard of them, give them a look. And even eBay sell devices nowadays, so you can get connected anywhere. Likewise, we have really demanding users, so we don't just sell an FMCG product that someone picks up and walks out with and never talks to us again. We sell a 24-month relationship that costs upwards of £1,000. And it's for a product that people now are so dependent on. I'd be surprised if one of you in the room doesn't have at least one mobile phone in your pocket. I'd be surprised if you were willing to leave it at home. So what we can't afford to do is allow customers to think we don't know what we're doing. We have to use content to generate that trust in our brand and that affinity with us. And that relationship and that demand leads to a really long path to purchase. So this slide probably shows it best. Around 20% of our users, actually 21%, and this is industry standard as opposed to Vodafone specific, take over 3 weeks to make a purchase. And that means we need to be right where the customer is at any stage of this buying cycle with relevant content holding their hand through the journey and making sure that when they get to that purchase point, they're thinking Vodafone and not somebody else. Something that Lucy just talked about, which we're just going through the kind of process of trying to get our head around at the minute, is attribution. So what we do know, and again, this is an industry stat, 75% of shoppers who are in the market for a mobile phone will look online at some point. Online is that kind of initial research phase. So even though we may not be trying to convert all those customers, although that's what me as an e-commerce guy would prefer, it's absolutely vital that we create content not only that holds them within the website, but that drives them into the other Vodafone channels if that's the right channel for the customer, as opposed to driving them to our competitors or trying to force them to buy online. Ultimately, we want the right thing for the business. This is a really interesting stat. So we're starting to get that insight. So this is from post-purchase surveys from customers in the mobile industry. So what you can see is that basically it shows the demands of customers. So what customer would want to have made the purchase process more easy. Everything within that red box is a good content opportunity, you could argue. Easier to compare deals, a better range, easy to understand, cashback, comparisons with other providers, all opportunities to say, this is what we do versus everybody else. Less jargon's a really good example as well. That means we're not talking to our customers in the language that they're using. So what that gives us is a really great kind of area of stuff to look at, but it's not specific enough. It doesn't tell us the exact piece of content we need to deliver to capture those customers and to tick that box. So what do? We could look at focus groups, but it just isn't to scale enough. So what we decided made sense was to use the world's largest focus group, and that's Google. So this is from James Matthewson. It's wrapped slightly funny there on the slide, but it's from Audience Relevance and Search by James Matthewson, who's at IBM, and he says, by doing keyword research before creating our content, we can address our target audience with their very own words. So I think that's really powerful, and companies like Vodafone, in being so traditional, have a habit of thinking we know what's best and we know what the customer wants, and I think this is a really powerful statement because it shows that actually customers know what they want, and you need to be where the customer is as opposed to trying to bring the customer to where you are. So the challenge is, how do we collect, organize, and interpret one of the world's largest data sets? So Google processes 40,000 search queries every second, 3.5 billion searches a day, and 1.2 trillion searches per year worldwide. So that's great. If you can get access to that data, perfect. But it's really important that you don't treat that as a snapshot. You don't get that data as a one-off. There we go. We've got our content strategy sorted for the next 10 years. And I thought this was a really interesting stat. So between 16 and 20% of every search within Google has never been asked before. So that shows how quickly the market's moving. And the bottom stat's even more interesting. So within 5 years' time, 50% of all search will be voice. That's going to have a huge impact on the search terms people use, the length of those queries within Google, and how specific people can be. So if we can get access to this data, what questions can we answer? These are all really powerful. So what are our competitors doing? Google will allow you to see where your competitors rank well versus you and spot those gaps. Where are the gaps in our existing content? So where are our customers that we're not? And therefore, what content do we need to create to fit that gap? So we needed a platform, something that allowed us to organize one of the largest data sets in the world and give us some insights out the back of it. We needed to be able to research our audience's behavior and understand what that behavior told us, what is it that they wanted out the back of that search. We need to plan that content that we took out the back of it and decide where the options are. So where's the volume, where's the competition, are there any small gaps that no one is, any niches in that market, and then deliver that content to screen as quickly as we possibly can. So we're working with Agenda 21, using their new tool, Content Compass, which Jamie talked about earlier, and that's allowed us to organise over 65 million monthly non-branded search terms to give us some actionable insights. I won't read through all the stuff that these guys do, but it's a huge amount of categorising and tagging, reams and reams of data to give you essentially a prioritised list of content. So this data allowed us to understand every stage of the life cycle. So I've already talked about how important that life cycle is and owning that lifestyle for the customer. This allowed you to plot those customers through that life cycle, speak the same language as our audience. Again, absolutely huge. And there's a good example of this on my next slide about where we've made a pretty quick change and seen some huge benefit out the back of it. Identify gaps in the market. So again, that's either, and what Content Compass allows you to do is spot where competitors are having success that you're not, or actually even better, where no one's having success but there's a lot of demand. So where you can quite quickly spin up some content and launch it and speak directly to customers, to Jamie's point earlier, as opposed to putting the message out there that you want to put out. Set priorities for content production. So again, you can see the scale of the demand, the scale of the opportunity, and the scale of the competition. So let's prioritize those pieces of content that give us the best ROI. And finally, increase visibility in search engines, which ultimately is what we're all here to do. So this is just an example. one that I talked about earlier. So Vodafone launched 6 months ago, no big ad campaign, no Kevin Bacon, no Martin Freeman, multi-SIM cards. So there's 3 different SIM cards in the market. There's a standard, the micro, the nano, all different sizes. And people don't know which one they need when they buy a new phone. Quite rightly, it's not something you look at when you're purchasing your new iPhone. You don't think, best check that's got the right SIM card slot. So what we saw and what we knew in the market was that people were confused by this, people were searching for it. So we brought out this product. Great, it does the job. It's 3 SIMs in one. You can pop out the right size for you, put it in your phone, and if you get a phone with a different one, you can put it back in the template and put it in your device. We called it 3-in-1 SIM. Great, launched it, happy days. Then when we came to look at the insight from Content Compass, what we noticed is no one actually searches for 3-in-1 SIM. Nobody cares, nobody knows what it is, it's just us. It means something to Vodafone, it means something to people who have one already. It doesn't mean anything to those people who haven't heard of it. The search demand was all around multi-SIM cards, SIM card for my iPhone, what size SIM card do I need for my Samsung Galaxy? So what we did, and this was the first page that we span up as a result, was launch a content page, really flat, really static, very, very basic, intentionally so, because we wanted to get it live as quick as possible, a page on SIM cards. So this isn't a product we sell, this isn't us pushing iPhones to customers with 20% off sashes and big roundels with £5 off, sorry. This is just a flat content page to give the customer the information they need that, do you know what, if you do want to buy from Vodafone, we've got you covered with this. And if you don't, absolutely fine. And as you can see on the right-hand side there, within 3 days of this insight coming into the business, to having a page live and ranking first in Google for one of the key search terms, saved us £50,000 or gave us the equivalent value of £50,000 a month in paid search spend. And this roadmap is absolutely huge now. I'm working with the guys at Agenda to prioritize it. And the next thing we're looking at is megapixels. So again, not something that you necessarily associate with Vodafone, you associate it more with the product that sits in your pocket. But it turns out that people just don't understand what that means. So we're looking to spin up another page, again, fairly copy heavy, but get some devices out there in the market as well, start to take pictures of stuff. This is what a 2 megapixel phone will give you, the new Nokia 3310, for example. This is what a 10 megapixel phone will give you, and this is what a market leading Sony will give you. And start to just try and increase that visibility and that consideration of Vodafone as a market leader. And as I said, if we can do that 3-week purchase period, customers won't want to step away from Vodafone if that's where they start. That's the ambition. So that's it from me. I just wanted to close on the remainder of that quote from James Matthewson. It's even better if you can design your site architecture to make it more likely that they'll land directly on pages containing the content they're looking for. This is what we mean by a search-optimized site architecture. Thank you very much.